Christmas-like as ever, with his ruddy cheeks and bushy white beard, despite his recent health problems, was seated beside her 17-year-old cousin Summer as they rehearsed for the grotto. "So thank you for your letter," Pops was saying in his toneless, stilted new voice. It made Elodie's heart hurt to hear it, although she'd rather poke hot bananas in her eyes than ever let him know that. Saturday girl Summer was clearly relishing the role of Tot meeting Santa. Her eyes widened behind her round glasses, and she clasped her hands to her mouth. "Golly gosh and gee whiz," she said, hamming for all she was worth. "Did you really, truly read my letter, Father Christmas?" "Of course. I read all the letters." "And will you bring what I asked for?" This was the moment when Pops would usually make eye contact with the child's parent, who'd signal whether or not their offspring could expect to find what they'd asked for under the tree on Christmas morning, and then improvise some Santa banter accordingly. But instead he pulled his Santa hat off and threw it down on his lap. "It's no good," he said to Elodie. "I'm finished, Ellie. We can't afford to take..." He took a deep breath as he struggled to cue up the words. "To take a chance on me. It's time to hang up the suit." Elodie went to rest a hand on his shoulder. "You don't get to retire, Pops. You're Santa. Or you are to every kid who makes the trip to Martin's to see you. Without you, we might as well close down the grotto." "Then so be it," Pops said despondently. "Even Santas reach the end of the road eventually. I've had a stroke, girls. How can you explain?" He trailed off, closing his eyes in frustration. "How can you explain this to all those kiddies? I'll be letting them down. I'll be letting you down, Elodie. Martin's needs its grotto." "I thought you were doing great, Pops," Summer said with her usual earnest exuberance, tucking a strand of cherry-pink hair behind one ear. "I hardly noticed the difference." Pops smiled in that lopsided way he developed since his stroke 2 months ago. "Thanks, pet, but you're fooling no one." "Your speech therapist said you were coming on in leaps and bounds," Elodie said soothingly. "There's 2 months until the grotto opens. By then, you'll be chattering away as normal." Pop stared gloomily into the distance, apparently not hearing her. Elodie turned to her cousin. "Summer, you know kids. Have you heard of some toy called a splatto?" "Splattertrons, you mean? Course," Summer said. "The cubs are mad for them. I don't think there's a single kid who hasn't told me they've got one on their Christmas list." Summer was a young leader with one of the Chessery cub packs. "But what are they?" "They're sort of like Transformers," Pop said, zoning back into the conversation, "except bigger. And they squirt water if you..." Deep breath. "If you can't change their shape fast enough." Elodie shook her head. "How do you know about them when I don't?" "Ashley Jr.'s got a display in his big window." "Callum Ashley," she muttered. "Of course he has. I bet his bloody department store's cornered the market in splattos. He's probably got so many in stock he's using them as plant misters." She looked at her cousin. "You could have told me about them some. This Christmas's most wanted toy, and Martin's has left it so late that you probably can't get stock in exchange for all major organs and your firstborn." Summer shrugged. "I thought you'd be on top of it. You usually are." Elodie puffed away some frazzled sandy hair that had escaped from her messy bun. "Well, this year I seem to have dropped a few juggling balls." The bell on the front door jangled to announce the arrival of a customer downstairs. The unfamiliar sound made Elodie jump. That in itself was pretty.